Good morning. One person on. Give everybody else a chance. I'm going to share out the link again. Oh, it's great to hear. Really good to hear. Hope you had a great trip. Let's see who else is here. Huh. I'm going to send out a couple more messages to get everybody here. Okay, got one more person. So now we need Lillian and Brandy, Coral. All right, Brandy's here. And while we are waiting for everybody to log on, make sure that you visit the website and that you fill out the attendance sheet for the AM. See how many we got on now. Go. I'm going to send out these two messages. Then we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to talk about um, correlative conjunctions. We'll start off with reading since I know that when we jumped into the math, it's normally taking the whole day. So this would be an opportunity for us to give that same amount of attention to reading. And if you know anyone who should be here and you have a way of getting a hold of them, I encourage you to reach out to them. That way they're not waiting on just me. I've also noticed that when we're doing the reading, the questions that come up are usually easy to answer to the live chat, but with math, it's normally not. So I'm going to make sure that we do the conference call if we get to the math today, so that everybody can participate, ask questions. So one more message to send, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Does anyone have a good way of getting hold of Lillian? I'm gonna send her an email because I know she normally jumps on as well, and I know we're still missing Coral. Send that out. All right, we got her on. Okay, we're gonna be starting off with reading. Um, and we'll go from there. Okay. All right. So we're gonna start off with reading now. The first thing I would like you to do is to tell me what a conjunction is. All right. Let me know what a conjunction is. I'm gonna let you guys do that in the live chat. Write that up there. What is a conjunction? What is a conjunction? All right, and let's see. What is a conjunction? Hey, only one person responded. What are correlative conjunctions? Actually, no, I'm sorry. We're getting into correlative conjunctions. What is a conjunction? Okay, so looking at don't and where, those are called contractions, right? That's when we contract. And actually, when we're writing, and when you're working on the essay, try not to use contractions. Literally spell out do not, literally spell out we are. But those are contractions. That's where we're shortening a word. This is a conjunction. We talked about this last week, a conjunction. And actually, Ildi gave us some examples for and, or, nor, but. Yes, and they bring sentences together. We have these in writing so that when we want to connect two different ideas, two different parts of a sentence, we can do that, right? I went to the store and I went to the swimming pool. So that we use the conjunction and, right? You need to work out and eat healthy for a better lifestyle or something like that, right? That would be an example of the conjunctions. Okay. So conjunctions themselves are not going to score you a lot of points alone on the writing portion, like when you're doing the essay, right? But what conjunctions are going to be good for is helping you use commas. And when we're talking about using correlative conjunctions. And those are conjunctions that always have to be together. All right. There's going to be a few of them, but I'm going to give you the ones that are going to be the most common and the easiest for you to use during the test. Questions so far? Can everybody see the board clearly? Okay. So we're going to talk about correlative conjunctions. Okay. This is important because this is going to help you create complex sentences. Okay. And I'm actually going to be able to send out some work that you guys will be able to do as well. Um, but this is going to be the most helpful when we are trying to create, when we're trying to show the person that is grading our essay that we are scholarly writers, that we know that these two words have to be, these two conjunctions have to come together. All right. So the first one that I can see that you're going to be using quite often. Okay, we got 7 people. Oh, and Ruth, thank you for joining us. Okay, so we're going to talk now about two of them that you're going to see a lot and that you're going to want to use a lot. Okay, now remember, when it comes to writing, it's not like I would think of writing and reading as an art, in the sense that when you're reading a book or you're looking at any kind of text, you're going to see people break the rules. You're going to see people not use correlative conjunctions together. You're going to see people using all kinds of commas, whichever way they want. And it's, I would think of it as an art form. So it's like almost like a movie where people can stretch reality because it makes it more entertaining and they're trying to say something. It's the same thing with writing. So our goal when we're writing, though, is to be scholarly. Our goal is to show the person that's grading our essay that we have mastered writing. So we never want to break the rules. We always want to go with the highest, most rigorous way of communicating. These are currents. Okay. So correlative conjunctions are conjunctions that always have to be together. Okay. So, first one that I know you're going to use when you're writing an essay, because it applies to almost everything, is either or either or, right? I want either the cheesecake or the chocolate cake, right? I want either the Giants to win the Super Bowl or no one or whatever, right? So either or, right? You're going to be using this, I can guarantee you, no matter what essay you're writing, whether it's going to be persuasive, informative, narrative, you're going to use it. Now, should you force it in there? Yes, even if it may take a little bit of a stretch, because this is going to show the person that's grading your essay that you are the master. So find a way to use it so that you can end up gaining those points for complex sentences. Any questions there? All right, moving on. The next most common is going to be neither nor. Okay, so this is when you want two things, when you want or are talking about two things. This is going to be the exact opposite. When you don't want two things. I don't want neither the Patriots to win the Super Bowl nor the Raiders. Okay. So that'd be an example of neither, or neither, and nor. When you use one, you have to use the other. They're like boyfriend and girlfriend. Questions about that? Okay. And there's going to be one more I'm going to give you. There are more correlative conjunctions, but I'm really looking at simple ones that I think apply the most often. All right. And this is going to be both and and. Actually, you know what? That's going to sound a lot more like these. Let's go with not only, but also. Not only, but also. And I think that's pretty straightforward, right? So, not only do I want the Patriots to lose a Super Bowl, but also they banded as a team. Okay. So, another example of not only, but also. And these are going to be the easiest to use to raise up our writing frequency, right? To be able to have scholarly essays. I'll give you a moment to write this down. Then I'm going to be sending out some example. I'm actually sending out some problems that I would like you to work on that include correlative conjunctions. Okay. So I'm going to send you a link for Khan Academy. It's going to have another video again that you can watch if you have more questions on this and you want more examples. And then you're going to have some practice questions. You may get a couple of these in the writing portion of like, can you rewrite the sentence correctly? Those types of questions. Although I don't really see it because this is something that is rigorous and a very high standard, but not as black and white as like what should be capitalized or a misspelling or a comma. Because we do use these on their own, right? We can say, oh, do you want to go swimming? Do you want to go to the park? Oh, I want neither, right? And you don't necessarily saying neither and nor. So this is mostly going to be used for your essay. So I'm going to send that link. I'm going to give you about 15 minutes to go through those, answer the questions. And again, on the lower left of Khan Academy, you're always going to see another lesson. So if you're comfortable, continue on. In fact, when you're done with correlative conjunctions, it's going to move you on to fanboys, and then I think it's going to move you on to coordinating conjunctions. But I will continue to work on those until you finish. All right. Any questions? Okay. Going to get started, and we'll meet here again in 15 minutes. I'm going to leave the live stream open. If you have questions at any time, go ahead and feel free to send me a message to the live chat. Sorry. No, you do not have to create an account in Khan Academy. You can just log on, or once you click on the link, you can just start answering questions. That's actually why I use them, because it's super simple and they're friendly with cell phones. So as soon as you click on the link, you go to the practice questions, you can start answering. It gives you four practice questions. It lets you know immediately if you're wrong. It gives you hints if you're confused. And if you're completely lost, it recommends for you to watch a video. Once you are getting 100%, you understand what correlative conjunctions are, um, then we're good to move on. So I'll give you guys a few more minutes to finish that up, and then we will go ahead and go back to the essay. I'll give everyone the link to log on with that. No problem. I'm going to be sending out. It looks like everyone's comfortable. I haven't gotten too many questions on the correlative conjunctions, so at least we know what they are. Now the question is going to be when we start writing our essay. Am I going to see those in your writing? Give them a few more minutes. Yeah. I'm going to be sending out the link here shortly. Classic is a little slow. Just so we can see better. move some things around so you guys can see the board. Okay, so it's a little easier to see. All right, and while we're waiting for this to come up, I would get any of the notes that you had on essays, the four types of writing, and we're going to continue on with the cell phone one. In fact, I am going to send out a new link for it. I'm going to put some additional resources out there for you guys to use so you're not just like necessarily making information up. And I'm looking for correlative conjunctions in your writing. I am looking for complex sentences. I'm looking for commas in a series, introductory commas, um, and separating the important from the unimportant. All right, and semicolons, because that's what they're going to be looking for in their writing. Again, not every single sentence needs to have one of those, but I would at least want one example of each. If you've used the four commas that we've learned, and the semicolons and the correlative conjunctions, that would be about 6, 7 sentences. Out of your whole 5 paragraphs, if at least 6 or 7 sentences contain an example of that, then you should be fine. Meaning that your other sentences can be very simple, one subject, one verb. I went to the park. I think this, and you'll be fine. But if all of your 5 paragraphs contain sentences that are like that, then you kind of run the risk of not passing. Right. So in the meantime, I'm getting this together. Go ahead and send me, what are the four types of writing? We talked about this last week. What are the four types of writing? Again, what are the four types of writing? This program is still really slow. Hey, haven't heard from it. Okay, there we go. Persuasive, narrative, descriptive, expository. Okay, so fiction and nonfiction, that's going to be more of the genres of reading. Uh, okay, I gotta say something like that's not. Um, Now, when it comes to reading itself, everything that is included in reading, we have informational text known as nonfiction, and then we have literature known as fiction. So that's good for reading. But what are the other two? I'm sure you could probably look at the other examples that are there. Wow, Class Cake is not cooperating, and I really would like to use it so that. Hmm, there's no one go formative, but I might have to use a different program, but that's okay. There we go. All right. Now it's up. So let me go ahead and send this out to you. Try this. Sorry that it's taking a little bit. I really want to use this assignment that I created because it's going to be at the same level that you're going to see the questions and resources out on the test, or if not higher. Okay. What's this one? No, that's not what I want. Yeah. Oh, I wonder. Hmm. If it's not in here, I wonder if it's going to be in another location. Okay. Oh, switched over. All right. So we're waiting for this to load up. I'm going to go ahead and put the number for the conference call up on the board so that we can use that to communicate, because I know that for the essay, sending messages to the live chat is not always the best method. Bear with me one moment. I'm gonna have to change something up. Ah, well, thank you. It's like that comment just came in the live chat. Yes. All right. And remember that the most common essay that you're going to be writing will probably be persuasive. That's going to be the one that is the easiest to use to see if you know how to use evidence. And in all of the practice tests all the students have ever had, that's the one that normally comes up. I would say the second most common would probably be descriptive. Although the template that we're using really works for descriptive, it works for persuasive, it works for expository. The only one that is going to be harder, and don't I don't see a lot of students having to have, I don't know too many students that have had this on their tests are the narrative essays because it's going to follow that plot diagram, the exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution. So that one tends to be more um, difficult in that it's not a simple template, but if you're hitting each one, you'll be fine. All right, so I found the assignment. It's going to come with its own text, but the essay question is still pretty much the same, right? And it's just dealing with whether or not we should have cell phones. I'm going to adjust it a little bit. I'm going to send out the link again. You don't have to do anything more than type in your name and you can get started. So, and you're going to see a little box in the corner. That is for the video. So there's going to be three text, so three little paragraphs, and it's going to show three different accounts of the way teachers and students feel about cell phones in the classroom. Then you're going to have a video. This is going to be very similar to what you would do when you're taking the test. Obviously, it's not going to be three simple stories, but you're going to have a text, and you want to use the text in your answers and in your response. So remember, you want to say according to the text or according to the video. All right. You want to stay away from just your own personal experience and only using that because, again, this is a test to see if you are able to read something, watch something, and then you're going to do what's known as synthesize. That means that you take all that information, you're putting it all together, and you're able to make a decision or you're able to articulate what you learned. And that's a big thing in education right now. Let's see here. So it should be giving me the link here in a moment. I'm sorry that it's taken so long. I don't know why Class Kick is lagging so much. Let me put up that number. All right, so I'm going to be calling out to that number now. All right, so I'm now on. And when you come onto the conference call, let me know who you are.
Hi, Ildy's here.
Okay. Sorry, who else was that? And I heard LD and
Ildy?
okay. All right. Yeah. I think I might even just in a moment here, if it's not going to let me load it, I think I might even just have a start because it's taking absolutely forever. All right, so I have Ildy that joined. So waiting on Danny, Lillian, Ruth, Brandy. Oh, there you go. Sorry, blocking the pin. All right, who just joined?
It's Danny.
All right. What's wrong with this? Okay. And what about Ruth and Brandy? Okay. And while we're waiting for them to join, keep in mind they want to have classes all throughout the summer, and there's a lot of demand for these classes. So we always want to keep the participation high. I do send reports in on who attends class, who's participating. So if it comes down to them having another class here in May, they are going to look at participation, right? And that could be something that can keep you from going into the next class. And the new program director has a whole bunch of things we're trying to do. They're trying to partner up with nurses to do CNA classes. They're partnering up with electricians, HVAC, certified people. So I would hate to see somebody lose out on that because they I don't have any way to prove that they're participating. Because I'm only seeing two people. I heard from three, but I'm not hearing from two. I'll call in. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. As long as I know that you're here and that you're going to be participating. Somebody asked if they can call in a little bit later. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. I still really do want to use this tool because it has a lot of resources on it, but it's not cooperating. I'm going to have to call in too because I actually paid for this program. Okay. So last time we talked about the introductory paragraph, the very first paragraph that we use when we are writing an essay. So you can tell me through the live chat, you can tell me through the conference call. What is in our introductory paragraph? We have a breakdown step by step. What is in our introductory paragraph? You can go ahead and tell me over the conference call or the live chat.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
What is in our introductory paragraph?
Introduction should be hook with some kind of quick personal story.
Mhm.
Transition to set up your thesis. Then present your thesis, which is 3 topics or reasons, and then transition to set up your first point.
Okay, perfect. And what kind of sentence do we normally use for our thesis? We learn about this with commas. Because we're listing 3 things, right? Because we want to have 1 point for each of our body paragraphs. So what kind of sentence would help us with that when we want to talk about multiple things without using 3 or 4 sentences?
A run-on sentence?
Well, that's if we don't use commas correctly, it would be a run-on, right? But if we're talking about multiple things and we want to show that we can have one sentence with multiple subjects. What kind of sentence do we use?
Conjunctive?
Conjunctions, so we're getting a little closer. Conjunctions bring sentences together. There's one sentence that we talk about where we use a comma when we want to list multiple things. That would be really helpful for our essay.
Complex sentence?
It is a complex sentence and it has a name. Remember, like, for example, if I want to list out my 3 reasons of why we should not have cell phones, right? I can say cell phones
Don't forget your lunch.
have no place
It's good this morning. It's safe with
in school
rice. I know. Because the neighbor doesn't pick up the dog. The one with the big, fancy, expensive dog.
students can cheat. It is a distraction and they can bully each other. What kind of sentence am I using here?
Persuasive.
It's a persuasive essay. That's one of the 4 types of writing. Good. Lillian got it. All right. So there's a particular name for a comma that helps you list out a whole series. It has a name, and it's important that we know it so we can use it for the test. I have a series of things.
Topic sentence? I'm trying to Google too, but.
Okay. It's called commas in a series. Commas in a series. Yeah.
Oh yeah, now the light bulb goes off. That makes sense.
Yeah. Anytime we're talking about more than one thing, you want to use commas in a series. So for your thesis, for your sentence that gives a whole essay structure, we need to use commas in a series. Thesis, right? We need to use commas in the series. We need to list out 3 things so that we have one paragraph on each one of the things we're going to be talking about. It makes it super simple. And that rubric that I sent out before, you saw where it talked about how you get points. One of the easiest ways for you to lose points is organization. Because even if you have reasons and evidence from a story and they're not the strongest reasons, that's always debatable, right? What's not debatable is whether or not people can understand what you're saying, right? Is your point clear? So that's why we always want to use commas in a series so that we easily list out what each paragraph is going to be about. That it's going to be the fact that students can cheat, that it's a distraction, that they can use it to bully each other. I want to always list out those points so that as the essay is unfolding, everyone can easily follow what I'm saying. And that's how we avoid losing points. It also is a good way to let the person who's grading your essay know that you're a proficient writer, because now you have points by a comma, you're using complex sentences. So that's one of the advantages. So we always want to use complex sentences. Questions on that? Complex sentences with commas in a series.
I'm good.
Okay. All right. So everybody last week started on their introductory paragraph. Now let's move on to the first paragraph, first body paragraph. Okay. All right.
We
So
did the first two. We were on the third one.
we did the first one. Yeah. So it would be the introductory paragraph and then your first body paragraph. Not everybody had their first body paragraph. So, or not everybody had their second body paragraph. Yeah. So if you did not submit to me your second body paragraph, well, what would be your first body paragraph, the second paragraph in your essay, go ahead and do that. If you already have your introductory paragraph, your first body paragraph, go ahead and submit to me your second body paragraph. And you can send that to the phone number that I gave out. You can email it. It's not going to let you do it in the live chat. You could text a picture. If you need that phone number again, let me know in the live chat. I'm still waiting on this program to cooperate. So you have a couple of different ways to submit it. It's not even letting me into the older assignment. It's not cooperating. But again, we can still do it through email, text to do that. So your introductory paragraph, followed by your first body paragraph, followed by your second body paragraph. So your 5-paragraph essay is going to be your introductory paragraph, then your first body paragraph, your second body paragraph, your third body paragraph, followed by your conclusion. And again, I know that some people are saying, I know that I've heard some of the students say, oh, before my teacher was telling me to just write a whole thing out. This is easy to follow. I can guarantee you that when you get to the essay portion, if you follow this, you will be fine. So you know what the structure of the introductory paragraph is. You know what the structure of the body paragraphs are, right? You're going to have a claim, and you're going to back it up with evidence. You're going to do that twice. Then you need to set up your next paragraph. So almost everybody has completed their introductory paragraph and their first body paragraph. If you have not, submit that to me, If you have submitted your introductory and first body paragraph, give me your second body paragraph. Yeah, it looks like it is down completely. And that's okay. Go ahead and just either text me. You can text me a picture of it. You can email me what you have. If you've been writing it on a computer, I'll give you the number, my school number. Again, so if you want to, if you're writing it on paper and you want to shoot me a message, it's 702-847-0741. No matter how many technical difficulties we have, we're not going to give up. So it's 702-847-0741. Yes. So the topic was, should schools allow cell phones in class? Yeah. And that's probably the essay question you're going to get on the actual test. It's probably going to ask you something like that. They like uniforms, and they also like things that there's no clear answer to. Are organic foods good for you? You know, those kind of things. They love persuasive essays. If it won't let you go in to Class Kick, because I know that it's been acting goofy, you can rewrite it if you'd like to. If not, you can move on with your first body paragraph because it is saved in Class Kick. So even if it's down now, it won't be down tomorrow or forever. So if you want to move on to your first body paragraph, that's fine. If it's hard for you to remember what you listed in your thesis, you can rewrite it. My main goal is to see your writing to make sure that it's organized, that it's clear, and that you're using complex sentences. Very welcome. So I need to see that you have commas in the series and introductory commas, semicolons, separating the important from the unimportant, using correlative conjunctions, and that your essay is organized. Okay. So let's see. Haven't gotten an email yet. Haven't gotten a text. All right. So it should be receiving from everyone either their introductory paragraph, their first body paragraph, or their second body paragraph. Okay. So again, feel free to email me what you got. If you've been writing it on a notebook, you can shoot me a text at that number. You were able to open your essay link? Okay, let's see. Is it cooperating now? Oh, it wants to cooperate. Okay. Still, if you'd like to do it on paper, you can. Here is the link to the assignment in the live chat. So I can also view your work there. What I just don't want is just people kind of being online, but not really participating because I want to make sure that we use the slots clearly. I do get messages from other students who would like to join. So I just want to make sure that no one's just hanging out in the live chat or, um, trying to buy their time type deal. That link allows me to see your work instantly as you're writing. So now there's multiple ways for you to get that to me. If you're using ClassKick, please use all the resources from ClassKick. So I like to see that you're citing the video, you're citing the text.
I kind of just threw mine together. It's not very organized or
That's okay, yeah.
as I'd like it to be, but it's a good idea.
Yeah, go ahead and send me anything you got. Oh, that's all right. I understand how it is. Oh, okay. So this is your second body paragraph. Well, remember, so there's the second body paragraph. Each one of these has a name. So just because it's your third paragraph, I want to label it because second body paragraph means that in your introduction, whatever you said was your second point needs to be supported in your second body paragraph. Does that make sense? So it's your third paragraph, but everything in here, your second body paragraph, otherwise known as your third, everything you mentioned in your introduction that was the second point needs to show up here. Does that make sense?
Right.
So when someone,
my first one was.
So your first paragraph is your introductory paragraph, where you let everyone. Huh?
No, I did those ones last week. You read mine over the video chat. I had done the first one, and then I did my introduction, and then I did my first point, which would be the second paragraph, and then this one that I just sent you is my second point.
Okay, so yeah, so this is your second body paragraph.
Correct.
Yeah, because you sent me your introductory and your first body paragraph last week, and then what you just sent me was your second body paragraph. Okay, and okay, cool. And instead of making change, okay, that's good. Yeah, the only other thing that I would like to add is we try to avoid starting sentences with because. Your points are good. They're easy to follow. Now I'm just looking at punctuation and grammar, right? So I would try to avoid using because, and I would try to throw in some more complex sentences. I like the fact that you're comfortable with commas in a series. That's good. So when you're saying things like such as notes, formulas, assignments, and much more, that's a great example of commas in a series. So I would challenge you then to use correlative conjunctions or use a semicolon in there just to kind of beef up some more of the punctuation, make it more strong. And that's right. And this is our chance to try. So remember, semicolons are good if you're connecting two sentences together that are related. So it's not like a comma, because a comma only connects parts of a sentence, right? A semicolon, you can use it when you're connecting two sentences that are related, right? So if you were to say, I went.
Usually I would do like a rough draft and then write it out and then go through and redo it, but trying to juggle the 3 kids on their video calls right now plus writing.
Yeah, I know exactly how it is. I have 3 kids too, so luckily they're usually mostly sending things through Class Dojo. But I definitely feel the pain. I definitely understand. But yeah, I mean, throwing in a couple of these, and that's one thing too. If you're not comfortable with the semicolons, my goal would be for you to at least feel comfortable using it one way so that you have that as a tool. When you're actually writing the essay, I would stick with what you're most comfortable. If you're comfortable with commas in a series, I would use that as much as I can. If you're comfortable with introductory commas.
With the semicolons, that I would use it in the wrong way, because I am so comfortable with commas and periods.
Yeah, so I mean, so I'm going to give you an example here, and then one other thing you can use are those correlative conjunctions, either or, neither nor, right? So that you can also show that you understand how to bring sentences together, and that's another way you can ensure that if your other sentences are very simple, you won't lose points because you've shown them that you're capable of complex sentences, multiple subjects, multiple verbs, etc. A very simple way to use a semicolon: I went to the store. Like you could say, I went to the store, right? Semicolon. I bought eggs and ham. So that's a simple example.
For me, I just don't really understand what the difference is of using the semicolon versus the comma, because
so a comma
is that it's a pause, it's a breath that you take in between.
Correct. A comma will never bring two completely different sentences together. So commas are to break up a sentence. Does that make sense? So if you have a sentence where you're talking about multiple things, you use a comma to break it up. If you have a sentence where it's a run-on because part of it is not an actual clause, it's not an actual sentence, a comma can be used to now make it a complete sentence, like an introductory comma, where it's like, I went to Nevada after the rain passed. Well, after the rain passed is not an actual sentence, right? So I would use that comma there to signify to the reader that I'm putting that fragment with something else that's already a sentence. A semicolon, the most popular way to use it is going to be when you have two sentences that are related and you want to show that you understand that not only is this a period, but you're adding it to another sentence. So there are two complete sentences. So the semicolon just shows you've mastered that. You know that there are two complete sentences that could be separated by just periods, but you're showing that you understand a semicolon work as well. The other most common way to use it, that would probably really come up on the test, is if you're listing out things that are already separated by a comma, you can use the semicolon to separate it. Like if we're talking about states that you've lived in, like cities and states, you can use a semicolon
Okay.
in between each city and state as opposed to a comma because that wouldn't make any sense. It'd be hard to follow. So, like, those are just some examples of what to do. Because I mean, your organization, clear. Like, I can easily follow your sentences. It's not violating what you said you were going to talk about, so that's good. Um, if you want to turn it, yeah, that's fine. Actually, you can email it. All the different ways, text it, etc. Yeah, so I think that that would be it. But everything I've seen so far, there's not a lot of grammar issues, which is good, or spelling issues. So yeah, and what you started off with, according to a recent study, that's golden because when you're doing the actual essay, they're going to give you the actual study. They're going to give you points. So now that you know what your essay looks like, as you're reading the instructions or you're reading the text, you can highlight and start breaking down what you know you're going to use.
Right. Yeah, you guys told me to use some facts to challenge me, so I was like, yeah, let me start with that.
Yeah, because like here's the thing, like when you set it up in that order, because I mean I've been a teacher for quite some time, and they're human, so it's like if I can easily look at each paragraph, like right off the bat, you're going to get points for organization. If you clearly Barney style tell me my first point is that students cheat with cell phones, and that's what your first body paragraph is, it doesn't even matter if your points are strong or not because I can always debate what a good or bad point is, but I can follow your points. So even for evidence, I wouldn't take points away from you because I can see what you're saying. There's clarity in it. I don't have to agree with it, but I can see what you're saying. So where students lose the most points is through organization. And then the organization also makes it hard to forgive spelling errors. It makes it hard to forgive when you have sentences that are clear. It even makes it hard to really follow evidence, right? Organization is going to be the biggest thing because if I know that your third point is about bullying, for example, if you misspell a couple of words or one or two of your sentences are off, it doesn't really matter because that's only spelling. You're not going to lose points for not having evidence. You're not going to lose points for not being organized. You would just lose points in spelling. And if you look at the rubric, that's about 5 points. Organization on the rubric is like 25, 30 points. There's no way to pass the essay, the writing portion, without it. And between the math and the writing, that's the one that I hear people complain or cry about the most. But writing doesn't have to be difficult as long as you know what they're looking for. You know they're looking for organization and they want to see that you can write a complex sentence. Doesn't mean every sentence needs to be that way, but it does mean that if it's completely absent from your essay, it'll probably hurt you. So wait, so far I've seen yours. I have not heard from LD. Have not heard from. I don't know who's resubmitting it.
I'm writing my essay on plastic.
Okay,
I'm working on it right now. I mean,
perfect.
to
Okay,
look at it, I already finished my first body paragraph.
awesome. All right, let's take a look at that. Were you able to see the video and everything just fine on that assignment?
Video.
There's a video in the top left corner of the first page.
Uh, are we writing about the video right now, or are we writing about the cell phone usage?
The video is about cell phone usage.
I have the scary movie video.
When you clicked on that corner link on Classic,
Yes, it's a scary movie.
let me see. That's weird because it should be another video that gives you like a whole bunch of reasons on um, why schools should have cell phones. Let me click on it again.
Which that video would be the according to that we would be referencing, right?
Correct. Yeah. So if you go back, so if you go to the very first page, oh, I sent out a new link in the live chat. If you click on that, on the very first page, there's a video. I'll send out I can send the link for it directly in the live chat. They're really big on having students look at videos and reading an essay to see if you can put all that information together when you're writing. So let me, 'cause I know we had technical difficulties. I'm going to send that link to the video in Classic too.
Okay, I just clicked on it. I thought we were continuing from the last.
Yeah, no, it is. It's just another example of things you can reference in your essay. So you can still write everything you've been writing since last week. Now this video gives you something else you can reference. You can say according to the video, and I think they have studies from like 2 or 3 colleges, so you can reference that now in your essay.
So in what part do we reference and cite the video in the essay? In what part?
Anything from the video that supports what you're trying to prove. So let's say you're trying to prove that students cheat. There are references in the video where colleges have done studies, and they'll say, I think it was like something like 40% of students that have a cell phone have been caught cheating or something like that. So now when you're writing your essay, you're not just saying, hey, students cheat with cell phones. You can reference the video and that study and saying,
okay, I got it.
Yeah.
The new link is actually not loading up for me. I was able to open the one from last week, but the new one isn't loading.
The link that I sent up. Okay. Yeah, if that one's not, because I know it's being weird with cooperating, I also sent the link to the video directly so you can reference the video. So if you just say according to the video, I know what video you're talking about.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Very welcome. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's all like dumb. Like, and I pay for this program too, so it makes me mad because I would not want to pay for something that's not going to load.
Yeah. Their servers might be down. I don't know. It could be.
Yeah, and there's so many people on the internet now that everything is incredibly slow. And I pay like almost $250 a month for internet just to have the fastest, most unlimited. Yeah, so it is frustrating because it's like to be in the situation. But that's all right. I'm happy you guys are participating, and at least we're going through everything.
Okay. Can I ask you to please remove the wording because it's melting into what I'm writing? What you wrote on my essay is melting into what I'm trying to write.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can go back into that one and see if it'll let me remove it. Sorry.
Thank you.
No worries. What is this?
I want to read yours, Ildi. You're so good at wording and saying stuff.
Ildi is very bright. Very bright.
Okay. Oh, she is. I tried a couple of her letters. Yeah, you did. Thank you.
Okay, so this is good. Someone just sent me a message. Yeah. Okay. Oh, well, I don't know if you guys prefer for me to text or I'm a text and give feedback out loud. This was actually really good. Keep going with your. So I'm actually going to write this one up on the board because I really liked um, the way that it was set up. Let me see if it'll let me into the assignment. It's been weird. All right. So while I'm waiting for that to see if it'll load up, let me go ahead and I'm going to rewrite what was just sent to me so we can look at the most important part of your entire essay, which is your thesis. So this is an introductory paragraph, meaning that we're letting everyone know what the essay is going to be about. And we're going to talk about what we can do, what we would look for. And if it's not incredibly clear, I'll also read it out loud. Okay. So let's just look at this sentence here. And Class Kick is not cooperating. I don't know what is up with it. So we're going to use this as the examples. Oh, okay. Perfect. Thank you for that. There's this thing called FERPA, uh, Family Rights, Education, and Privacy Act, where I can't reveal your grades. Although there's no real grade in this class, like the goal is to get everybody to test, but they're big on that. So thank you. All right. Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. And then there's the phone number to send. So I just want to look at this. Buzz, buzz. I started receiving text messages in the middle of class during my essay. Now, so the first thing that I want to point out that I like the use of sound words, otherwise known as onomatopoeia. I like this. The sound words are good. If we look at that rubric for a persuasive essay, you hit that check mark of getting the reader's attention. I started receiving text messages in the middle of class. Now, one of the things that I would do here is I would actually add a period. Now you're using an introductory comma. I started receiving text messages. Right? That's a whole sentence, right? I started receiving text messages, right? Now, in the middle of class is not a complete sentence, right? So this can actually be flipped. I can say in the middle of class, I started receiving text messages. So this is a complex sentence. You're starting that off. So right here, you're hitting getting their attention and you're hitting complex sentences. All right. You're going to notice on the rubric, there's not going to be a place for complex sentences. But what there is going to be a place for is clear sentences, your syntax. Are you putting words together in a way that communicate a thought clearly? If all your sentences are simple, that's where you lose points because they're going to believe that it's hard to follow. You're not really presenting things in a way that shows you've mastered writing, all that other stuff. So, right here, you introduce your topic well, you got our attention, and you have a complex sentence, right? So, you can just say in the middle of class. So, I like that. I'm going to continue on. Actually, I might have to rewrite that. So I'm going to leave it that way. All right. And this one, I'm going to want you guys at home to help out. So send me messages to the live chat if you're on the conference call. I'm literally trying to rewrite it as it was sent to me. So if you see any kind of spelling errors, if you see any errors of structure, clarity, let me know. All right. So I'm going to read it out loud. And then I wanted to get feedback from, ooh, okay. So already started getting some messages. All right. Thank you so much, Ruth, for sending me that message. All right. Pretty good. And I sent some feedback through there as well. All right. So Lillian said a comma after realize. Okay. We could put that. Now, in the same area, there's something else that I would be looking for. Something else. And I literally wrote this exactly the same way it was sent to me. So everything is intentional. Everything. Spacing, the way I spell things. Okay. And what else did we mention about contractions? Do you remember what I said earlier in the day about contractions?
I did not realize.
So contractions, we try again. I know it's going to seem silly, but when you're writing your essay and you want to show that you're the master, this is something that you want to avoid. It's seen as like sloppy writing. That's not my opinion. That's just the way that the rubric really is. So I would avoid contractions. I would literally write I did not. And that's just another one. Yeah, using those whole words. Correct. Now, in that area, still one more thing I have not heard anybody else mention yet. This is beautiful, by the way. I love this essay. I'm just saying. Correct. I like that, Lillian. Did not.
Are,
Yes.
are we looking for correct things, or are we looking for things that are not correct in the writing?
I would like you to tell me things that are not correct. I'll tell you this. As far as structure, the ideas are communicated very clearly in this. And that's why I love it. And this person is trying to include several complex sentences, and they're trying to follow that structure with the way the essay looks. So just think about that.
Is there a comma after not only? Should there be?
You could. Now, what is she doing here? Not only did I disturb my classmates. So what did we learn about today with not only? Correlative conjunctions.
He is using correlative conjunction.
So what is the other one that we should see?
Not only, but also.
But also. Okay, so that's something else we can add here. Not only, but you need to also put in here, but also. Teachers look for those things, right? Oh, correlative conjunction, right? So that's good.
But it does say, I also interrupted.
Okay.
It's buffering.
Okay. So what I always stick to on the test is I give the teachers exactly what they want to see. That's always been my philosophy. So you could change a couple of the words around, but I would say if you're trying to go for points for complex sentences, give them the most black and white textbook example you can. Because when they see not only, in their mind as a teacher, you go to, oh, but also. So when I see it, I'm like, oh, okay, this person is a very efficient writer. Does that make sense? Like you're hitting that automatic response. So not only did I disturb my classmates, but also interrupted my teacher. I would look for that. The other benefit, besides the fact that teachers are looking for that, it's also easier for you to remember, right? So if you like not only, but also, if you like neither and nor, either and or, as soon as you start testing, I would write that on a sheet of paper. So you know you're going to include that in your essay. So that when your other sentences are simple, it's okay because you've given me these complex sentences, right? So I like the fact that she was trying to use that there. So I would actually say, not only did I disturb my classmates, but also interrupted my teacher. All right. And here,
is there a comma after teacher?
Ooh, you tell me. Is all of this is okay? Because as it stands now, it would be not only did I disturb my classmates, but also interrupted my teacher and failed my essay because I wasn't paying attention.
Yes, there is a comma after teacher because we're listing what else we were doing.
Yeah. Or one of the things you could do here is you could even put a period and start a brand new sentence. In fact, I would probably do that so that your sentence is not like 3 lines long, right? So not only did I disturb my classmates, I also interrupted my teacher, period, right? And then I would start a brand new sentence. This is good. I can see that this person is getting more comfortable with complex sentences. This is awesome. So what I would do there is I would use this as a sentence that showed I know correlative conjunctions. That when I say not only, I'm going to also write but also. So that is an indicator to the teacher that you're proficient. So I would just put a period there and that. And then I would start a brand new sentence, right? I failed my essay because I wasn't paying attention. And there's one more thing here that um, I want to add, and we didn't really go over it, but I want to see if we have some background knowledge on it. Okay, I'm gonna add it over here. This right here, because this is all one paragraph, your introductory paragraph, you don't need to indent. You only indent that space you put in the beginning when you're starting a paragraph. That's another indicator to your teacher that this is a brand new idea. Every paragraph is like a scene in a movie. So when you're watching a movie and the black for a little bit and it goes somewhere else, that's pretty much what a paragraph is. So we don't need to indent. There shouldn't be any space here because this whole thing is one paragraph. I should have an indent in the beginning. Everything else should not be indented. It should start off on the next line, the space over, right?
Do we indent every single paragraph in the essay?
When you're starting it, yes. So when you start your introductory paragraph, you indent. When you go to your first body
What
paragraph,
about the body? Okay.
the very first sentence, yes. And these are all, again, subtle clues that it's a different idea. And I'm telling you, like I've graded like 100 papers in one day before. It makes it so much easier. I've known teachers when they're grading the state test that are like, that paper just looks like it should be a perfect score because the indents are flawless. Like the indents are flawless. It's so easy to look at each point that you already favor this person because not only do you have a separate paragraph now, but you're indenting. So I can easily see your ideas. Like they're separated, they're indented, and you're showing me that you know you're starting a new idea with that space. So if you and it also works in the opposite way. If you indent at an inappropriate space, then they can argue that your ideas are hard to follow. Like, oh, so was that supposed to be a paragraph? Is this a new paragraph? And people can argue that a paragraph is one or two sentences, but that's not what we want to do with our test essay. We're not here to like be cute and be artsy. We just want to pass. So I would stick with all the black and white rules. Indent here, start that new body paragraph, indent with that first sentence, and continue going. But I really like this because the personal story was on point. They're using sound words and they have several complex sentences. And they're building the idea that cell phones are bad. There's no way after reading this, and this is not the complete introductory, we still need a thesis, but there's no way that after reading this, I'm not understanding that this person does not like cell phones, right? In the classroom. It's pretty clear. Because a lot of times when we're grading the essay, the idea is if your essay is strong enough, I don't even need to see what the question was. I should be able to understand what the question and the answer was based off of the way that you wrote your essay. Questions so far? Okay. So I'm going to look at another. Okay. So I'm going to write up another introductory paragraph. And then I want you to tell me what we should add.
Where'd you go?
Can't see me?
Hello?
Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, I'm gonna stop right there. Another essay that I really enjoyed, and again, I know this person was starting to write, so they did not complete their introductory paragraph, not because of anything more than just starting to write. So I would like us to look at this and let's see what we would change and what we need to add. And again, we're not adding because this person um, made a mistake or anything like that. This is literally like where they're starting their writing, right? This is the rough draft, almost like brainstorming. So let's look at everything we can. Do we see some good things? What do we need to add? And if you want to add something, I need to know what. Don't just say, "Hey, she should have X," and then you're not telling me how you would write it. So if you're going to give me feedback, I want to know how. Again, you can use a live chat, send me a text message if you're on the conference call, multiple ways for you to participate.
I'll be dissecting this.
Yes.
Okay. Hand it over. It's supposed to have an exclamation point after that.
Okay, and why would you say that?
Because it's
You're exactly right.
you're not just saying it calmly, you're asking somebody to do something.
Yeah, right. It's a command. It's like a forceful command, right? Hand it over.
Commanding, yeah, command. I forgot the word. Commanding. Yeah, commanding somebody to do something.
Yeah, it's an exclamation point.
And then there has to be a question mark after, isn't it embarrassing when the teacher calls you?
And I noticed that. Yeah, and I noticed a lot in the writing that we like to use questions to be dramatic. If you really enjoy that, go ahead. But I am not a big fan of dramatic questions, just because it leaves more space for like punctuation errors. So I would really recommend using more exclamation points and periods. That's just me, but you can. So she wants to be in this. She wants to be a little more dramatic, right? Isn't it embarrassing when the teacher calls you out in class to hand over your cell phone? Yeah, question mark, right? And that's good because you're building the idea of shame here, right? That cell phones have no place in the classroom. It's shameful. Like you should feel bad, right? What else? And remember, we are going to need to add some things. I want you to tell me what we need to add.
Complex sentence. Comma.
Okay. So you want to add a complex sentence. You think all of these are
Comma
too
in a
simple?
series. Comma in a series sentence.
Ooh, okay. So why do we need to add commas in a series? What part of the introductory paragraph do we need here?
We need to list things. We need to list the 3 things.
Correct. And that
Why?
sentence has a name.
A complex sentence, comma, right?
It is a complex sentence, yep. Except in the world of writing, in our essay, the sentence that tells you exactly what the whole essay is going to be about, and it usually lists at least 3 things, it has a particular name.
Oxford, comma, right?
Yep.
Commas in a series.
Commas in a series, yep, that's what it's called. But in writing, that sentence has a name by itself. So yes, we use an Oxford comma to do this, but that part of the introductory paragraph, it has a special name. This is what your whole essay is going to be about. And it's
Hook.
what's that?
A hook.
Well, the hook is in the beginning. Here's the hook, right? And then we have a transition. What else do we have in our introductory paragraph? This is something that's very important. It adds to our organization.
Commas in a series. It says.
Yep, it is commas in a series, but it has a name. It has a special name. Say my name, say my name. It has a special name. I just say that so, like, when you're looking at when you're being graded, so you understand, like, oh, they mentioned this. What do we call that sentence that sets up the whole essay? We usually write that sentence using the hook is to get your attention.
It's a complex.
It is a complex sentence, and we use the Oxford comma, but that sentence, the job, it has a name.
Oh, the job has a name?
It has a name. Because when I grade the papers or the other teachers who grade your essays, they're going to be looking for this. And that sentence has a after the transition. What comes after the transition? Oh, I think I just heard it.
Thesis.
Your thesis. Yes. Yes, your thesis. Is there a thesis here? Oh, I don't know, it keeps turning. Sorry. Is there a thesis here? No, right? So we don't know exactly what the whole essay is going to be about yet. We know the essay is going to be about cell phones being bad, but we don't have those clear 3 reasons yet. So that's why we need a thesis. So if we have a thesis, then we know here are the 3 reasons you should not have a cell phone in class. That's the most important thing. So I want you in the live chat, or you could use a conference call. Tell me what a good thesis would be. Because she's setting it up. This is not the only reason cell phones should not be in school. So we're setting up the idea that cell phones are bad in school. Now we need to straight up tell you using commas in a series and Oxford comma, we need to set up that thesis. What are the 3 reasons why we should not have cell phones?
Because it's a distraction.
Okay. Okay. Now remember, we want 3 reasons. So you need to find a way to give me 3 reasons all in one sentence. It's called a thesis, and we use an Oxford comma to do it.
So she needs 3 reasons after cell phones should not be allowed, or that is not the only reason cell phones should not be allowed in school.
Because now she needs to set up what her whole essay is going to be about.
Well, so far it's talking about how embarrassed she is that her phone went off. So I would say, it's embarrassing, it's distracting, and I'm trying not to use my own example.
And that's all right. You know, I sent out that link. I sent out that link with video that has a bunch of studies in the video and things like that. You can also reference that. Since you guys made this up, the good news is that when you take the actual test, you don't have to make anything up because they're going to give you the videos. They're going to give you the resources. So you're not going to have to come up with them straight off the dome. Like they'll actually be there in black and white. So you can use the video. The video gives you a bunch of reasons why you should have cell phones, which also gives you reasons why you shouldn't. Because what they think is a good thing does not necessarily mean it's a good thing. Right? And here's what I mean by that. If they're saying that 60% of students with a cell phone do better on test, well, that means that 40% of students with a cell phone are not doing well on the test. That's bad. You can argue it's good. You can also argue it's a bad thing. So we're learning to think critically, right? So we talked about here that cell phones can embarrass people by going off, putting your personal information out there. They're distracting.
It's embarrassing. You can bully with embarrassing stuff.
There you go. So you can say it's embarrassing, it's distracting, and it can be used to bully people. Right? And here's where we start showing that higher level thinking. In what order should I list that on in my thesis? What order would make the most sense? I'm going to rewrite this. In what order would it make the most sense for me to say it's embarrassing, it's distracting, and you can use it to bully people? What's going to be the most logical order?
Well, embarrassing first because she's already talking about how she's embarrassed because the teacher is calling her out on it.
Good. So the first thing I want to mention is embarrassing. Okay. So cell phones should not be in class because they're embarrassing. What else? What would be the next logical point? What's that?
The embarrassment causes distraction.
Ooh, I love it. All right. So who wants to go first?
You can go, Danny. Distracting kind of ties into why it's, the embarrassment causes the distraction. So
good.
Distracting would be next.
There you go. So now we know when we're writing our essay, it's going to be easy to link being embarrassed to being distracted, right? Or being distracted to being embarrassed. So that would make sense. You wouldn't want this to be like your first paragraph and then distracting to be your third, because it's not going to flow, right? So embarrassing, comma, distracting. Okay. Now we mentioned bullying. Embarrassing, distracting, and
I would just use and can be used for bullying.
And can be used to bully. Now, is there anything you want to change about this order? When we think about structure.
How about they are?
Huh?
They are instead of there.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, if you want to treat it as like a person, you can think of it as like a, yeah. But
you could start off with the bullying because, the cell phone could be going off because a picture got leaked and you're being bullied about it.
Yeah.
The teacher has your phone and they're embarrassing you in front of the class and making the bullying more.
Yeah, so that's a great point.
And then that leads to distraction.
Yeah, so you could say bullying, embarrassing, distracting. One of the things that I would like to do is I would probably put distracting as the first thing. I would probably put distracting first. Then I will talk about embarrassing so I can set up being bullied, right? Because distracting can be its own thing, right? You're looking at Facebook, you're taking pictures to upload it on Instagram. I don't have any social media, by the way. So this is just what I hear my kids and other people talk about. So you could use it it could distract you. Now, embarrassing could really does lead to distracting because, yeah, maybe
you're taking a test that no one's allowed to talk during the test. Like in middle school, the state test, no one is allowed to talk. And if your cell phone goes off, you get in a lot of trouble. Um, so that can be embarrassing. It can be embarrassing that you have to go in your backpack and look for the cell phone. It keeps going off. Everyone's looking at you. You know you're going to get in trouble. So that could be a really easy way to go from the cell phone goes off, but you're using the cell phone to not pay attention. Now everyone's giving you attention, and then you're going to talk about how that can come back to be a bullying tool, right? So that's something else you always want to think about in your essay is, am I structuring it in a way that my ideas will flow through clearly? There's no real right or wrong answer to it, as long as you know that for your thesis, the most important sentence, the most important part of your whole essay, as long as you pick the way that the ideas make sense to you and that they float, you'll be fine. What you don't want to do is present ideas in a way that are hard to follow. So if I said, oh, you can be bullied, oh, you can cheat, and then I talk about something else really random, like, the new iPhones have too many features or something like that. Well, not only am I not presenting an argument in a clear way, but it's going to be even harder for them to follow my sentences and structure because that last point is pretty random. It doesn't even go with everything else. So the flow is going to be the most important part of the essay. The thesis is the most important part of the essay, which helps everything else flow. So if your thesis is off, your whole essay is going to be off. So if you talked about embarrassing first, that should be your first body paragraph. Distracting should be your second. Bullying should be your third. I got about 18 minutes left. So I'm going to give you guys a quick preview of what your conclusion. Okay. Your conclusion is pretty simple. Okay. Say my connection's unstable, but again, that's why I'm glad that we're using the conference call because technology is not as reliable as we always want it to be. Okay. So in your conclusion paragraph, your last paragraph, this one's pretty easy. Okay. Your first sentence, all you're going to do is take the strongest point from your first body paragraph. You're going to hit the strongest point from